Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Anywhere. Welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, the hardest man to get a hold of in jolly old England, Richard Jenkins, and is it Tyrrell or Tyrrell? Racing.
We'll find out.
I know we're going to find out.
He'll tell us.
I know, but so that while we do the rest of this,
I think it's Tyrrell.
You think it's Tyrrell?
Is it Richard or Richard?
Well, we're going to find out about all
England.
that.
It's Richard.
Yeah. Okay.
He can hear us. I can tell that. But
Yeah, I know. I think he just left.
Yeah. Konrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making auto news headlines this week. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Konra DeLong, we always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday for our live show. If you're listening on a podcast later on in the week, well, thank you for listening and welcome to this portion of the car show. All right. So before we even intro him, we're going to get the pronunciation right. Is it Tyrrell or is it Tyrrell?
it's Tyrrell.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, are you in London?
Not quite. Hatfield, where they made the old de Havilland Comet many, many years ago.
Okay.
All right. Well, his name is Richard Jenkins, and he has the story of the Tyrrell Racing Organization book that is out. And I know that folks are kind of starting to think about Christmas. Well, first off is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., obviously, but we have Christmas up. And for any car guy, I think that this would be an interesting read because it's about Formula One back in the day and the Tyrrell Racing Group. And so, Richard, what got you going on this? Why would you want to write a book about this?
Well, I've been very fortunate, to be honest. If you let me rewind just a little bit, about 3 years ago, I wrote a book on somebody that might be more familiar to American racing audiences, a guy called Richard Gimfer. Used to race for Ferrari and Honda, won the Mexican Grand Prix. Bizarrely, it was my first book. I was very fortunate to be given the opportunity, and it did rather well. It won multiple awards, all of which is unreal because, all I did was just do my best and go from there. And the company that published this book, Tyrrell, Evro, got in touch and said, well, what would you like to do? And one of the key things that I wanted to bring was something that hasn't been done before. So I was the first to do the Richard Gimfer book. And no one, believe it or not, has ever done a book on Tyrrell from the start to the finish. It's mainly been the Jackie Stewart era, obviously because it was extremely successful. But no one's really covered the other guys, and they had Danny Sullivan, Eddie Cheever, Derek Daly, Michele Alboreto, Martin Brundle, John Alesi, very, very famous names. And their time at Tyrrell was just a tiny fraction of what's been in literature before. So that was the genesis of it.
Who is Ken Tyrrell?
Well, Ken is no longer with us, but Ken Tyrrell was a timber merchant. That was his day job, and racing was just a bit of fun. And he, from a little woodshed just think of the forests, the lumberjacks, and think of their sheds. He ran a championship-winning organisation from a shed. Extremely argumentative guy, but in a good way. He liked an argument. He was very forthright, but extremely passionate about his sport, extremely passionate about the people that work with him.
And very inventive. He had an advanced mind as far as the race car goes, and my view of the world was so far advanced, a lot of his innovations that he brought to his cars were shortly outlawed.
Yes.
You know, the most famous, to me, the most famous Tyrrell car is the six-wheeled car, the 4 front tires on an F1 car. I don't know that it was overly successful, but it sure was memorable to see that car on track. And then not to get support from Goodyear by building the tires for him to do what he wanted to do. But then that kind of chassis, that 6-wheel chassis, ended up getting outlawed by Formula One as well. So a lot of things Tyrrell did ended up being outlawed in the next year or two. And you know, a little bit of history of, do I call it cheating? Or super innovation of refilling the car with lead shot so it would pass spec at the end of.
I think they call that cheating.
He would pass spec at the end of the race.
I think bending the rules is the
bending the rules.
The gray area.
We'll go with that.
The gray area, like
if you're
the T.
racing and you're successful, you're cheating somewhere. You just haven't got caught yet.
Yes. So I assume that you cover all this in the book.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what you just said about the innovation. I mean, though Ken himself wasn't that mechanically minded, there are so many things. But the fan car in the book, a lot of people think the first fan car was from Brabham and Gordon Murray, and that got outlawed after one race. But in fact, Tyrrell were the first people with the fan car. The one thing that didn't get outlawed, and just bear with me, I don't know how well you can see it if I put it in front of me, but on the front cover of the book, on the bottom, we have John Audacy with the high nose, and a chap called Harvey Postlethwaite, who you may have heard of, used to be Ferrari designer. Him and a French chap called Jean-Claude Migeot came up with the high nose concept, and for the next probably 30 years, at least 20 years, every single Formula One car had that high nose. You know, so yes, they're extremely innovative, but that one actually was within the rules and stayed. But yeah, the P34, which you mentioned, six-wheeler, it did win one race, but yes, very quickly, Goodyear. This was James Hunt, Niki Lauda, 1976, the Rush season. So Goodyear had a choice of focusing between the P34 for one car, one team,
or everybody else,
and the other 10 teams. So easy decision really for Goodyear to make.
How long did it take you to write this book, put all this stuff together?
About 3 years, all in all. I was lucky. I probably couldn't do it now in 3 years, but this was started during COVID. And COVID for an author is actually somewhat of a dream, because you have people that cannot escape, and their only recourse is Zoom or a phone call or something. You're actually making their day by getting in contact with them. But then, thankfully, everything went back into the wild, and trying to track down people was a bit more difficult after that. But yes, it's just been a consistent 2 to 3 years of hard work and trying to get a hold of as many people as I can.
And did you talk to a lot of the characters you have in the book? You know, as far as the designers and some of the drivers, the list of people Tyrrell had surrounding him on the team was amazing. You know, even if you just talk about the drivers, you've named a few of them. You know, Jackie Stewart, John Surtees, Jackie Ickx, Jody Scheckter, Patrick Depailler. You know, some of the great F1 drivers have driven a Tyrrell through the years.
Yeah, I think we've got 32 of the, what was then, 40 drivers alive. We've lost a couple since. But 32, including Martin Brundle's got a massive, maybe not so much in America, but certainly in Britain, he's got a very high profile Sky F1 now.
Right. Until he does the grid walk, and people have no idea who he is, and he sticks a microphone in their face and they walk away from him.
We might get this at Vegas as well, I don't know, but so Jackie Stewart, everybody like that. There are only 7, 8 drivers out of the entire living drivers who didn't or couldn't help. The Tyrrell family, Ken's sons are still alive, Bob and Kenneth. And the designers, there's not many designers still alive, unfortunately, but me, Joe, but also the mechanics. Because what I wanted to do is not just get the stories, to be completely fair to Jackie Stewart. He deserves everything and he deserves to be listened to. But it does get repetitive after 40, 50 years of hearing the same stories. Sometimes it was nice to go to the mechanics and the fabricators, the guys that were at the front of the car or the back, and hear their stories because they've never had their chance as well. So I think it was about 100, 110 people associated with Tyrrell in the end.
Oh, all I can think of is, 110 guys that he's got to get a hold of, track down to talk to them. I don't know how you were able to do that. Talk about perseverance and patience. That would be your story. How did you get Jackie Stewart to write the foreword in the book?
To go back one step, Mike, I wrote a second book about a guy called Mike Spence, who, again, if you know your history, used to race with Lotus, died in Indianapolis 500 qualifying in 1968. His widow, who sadly has died since, was quite close to Jackie because Mike and Jackie were very good friends. And it's sometimes not what you know, but it's who you know and who they know. She was a very, very forthright South African, like a lot of South Africans are. And she just got in touch with Jackie and said, Jackie, because she wouldn't call him Sir Jackie, she'd go straight to the point. Jackie, just write his foreword, just sort it out. And so he did. So I've got Mike Spence's widow to thank for that. So.
Oh, cool.
And that's the kind of thing that I was alluding to, is the fact that you got to go to this person who knows that person, who might know somebody else that'll get you into the door, Jackie Stewart, to say, hey, would you write a foreword to me?
I know a guy that knows a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. The first outlet for his work was the website Old Racing Cars. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 20, 21 years now. There's two of us. I did concentrate on the drivers and where they are, from the successful world champions to the guys that just race one race. Then I've expanded it a bit to the designers, the team personnel, team principals, people like that. I've covered IndyCar now, so I cover everybody that's ever started or qualified for the Indianapolis 500. The IndyCar series, ARS, and all that sort of thing. My colleague Alan, he concentrates on the cars. Again, majority single-seater, but where those cars are now, have they ended up in a scrapyard? Are they being raced in historic racing? Are they owned by either secret or very public personnel? So basically, it's a free service. It's a website. We don't have adverts. We don't have logins and special passwords. You can just Google. And, a lot of people find us that way.
Richard, where did you get your passion for racing?
Back in probably 86, 87, we had a chap called Nigel Mansell, who was doing quite well in Britain, nearly won the 1986 World Championship. And whatever you think of Mansell, he has a persona and he has a character around him, and that whips up the media. And, when I was about 8 or 9, this kind of thing was very intoxicating. And I've ended up not being particularly a Mansell fan, but seeing these fast cars, this was a time when you'd had the turbos were still there, so you had the sparks. Anybody could win because the cars weren't reliable. It was just intoxicating, and as I say, it's really gone from there.
Did you go to the Saturday night races in the local area there?
There weren't too many in my local area. It's something I've gone to a bit more. Probably about early 90s, started going to the Grand Prix. I don't live too far from Silverstone, so I've gone to quite a few Silverstone events. And more recently, I tend to go to the historic stuff. But I still go to the Grand Prix every year, the British Grand Prix. So I still watch current racing.
Do you get to Goodwood and watch some of the nostalgic cars run up the hill, or what they call a hill? I don't know how much.
Yeah, no, it is. And there's another one, perhaps not so well known in America, but there's a place called Shelsley Walsh, which is in Worcestershire. It's been there since about the early 20s. And again, it's the same thing. You see the cars going up the hill. It's a fantastic spectacle. Went to Brooklands a couple of weeks ago, and it's not the same, obviously, as it was 100 years ago, but you get the feeling for it. So, yeah, very much interested and passionate in it still.
Are you going to watch the Formula One race from Las Vegas this weekend?
I will. I think it's 6 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
So it's an early start, but I have 3 children and a dog, so I'll be up early anyway. So, it should be good. It's not quite the same for me as it was in the 80s and 90s, but I still watch every race. Still hope that somebody other than Verstappen wins. Nothing against him personally. I just like to see a variation of drivers. But
another thing about Tyrrell as an organization that evolved into, I believe, was it Braun that ended up evolving into the current Mercedes team? Is that correct?
Yes. So the same. If you go into a thing called Companies House in the UK, which registers all companies, all businesses, Mercedes right now, out there in Vegas, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, all the latest technology, they have the same company ID as the Tyrrell Racing Organisation set up in 1964.
Wow!
So it's the very same company in theory. So
fascinating. Richard, it is a pleasure and an honor to talk to you, sir. And thank you for hanging in there with us, and glad we got our clocks together.
Yeah.
And I've posted a link on our social media to Amazon of your book, as well as a link to oldracingcars.com. I'm going to be a fan of that page as well. Yeah. Very cool page.
Well, Richard, again, it's the story of the Tyrrell Racing Organization, and it's available through your favorite bookseller. Richard, great to talk to you, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you, sir.
You too, and have a Happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Fascinating. Mm-hmm. I like to hear that stuff.
Well, and he talked to a good group of 103 people to interview to create the book. Yeah, he's got a good view from the drivers to the family to the people that were building the cars and stuff. Pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. All right, time now for This Week in Auto History. Konrad has that. Where are we going to go to today?
Well, This Week in Auto History, in 1914, the first Dodge car leaves the factory. After finding massive success as a parts maker in Detroit's auto industry in the early 1900s, the Dodge brothers, John and Horace, signed a deal to build parts exclusively for Henry Ford. So the Dodge brothers worked for Henry Ford, and then in 1914 built their own car. Henry didn't pay them well. No surprise, Henry didn't pay anybody well. But what he did was he gave them stock in Ford Motor Company, and that stock in Ford Motor Company blossomed into a significant amount of money, and it was enough for them to start the Dodge Motor Company. In 1977, the 100 millionth Ford was built. It was a 1978 Ford Fairmont.
Futura. Oh, my God.
And as the car rolled off the assembly line in Mahwah, New Jersey.
Mahwah?
Mahwah?
Is that like Wawa?
No, that's code for tub it out.
It spent many of its early years traveling the country as the 100 millionth Ford built. Funny thing about that car,
of all
that was
the
actually
things to have the 100 millionth. They could fix that.
You could have
Could have
made
made it a 150 or
or a
something.
Mustang or
Anything,
something.
but
Well, and
not a Ford Fairmont.
The chassis of that Fairmont is the same Fox body chassis of the Mustang, so it could have been a Mustang, but it wasn't.
Okay.
In 1996, this week, GM releases the EV1, their first electric car. General Motors released it, manufactured in Lansing, Michigan. It had a range of 70 to 90 miles. So you talk about range anxiety.
I will never forget when I first saw that. Our Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, for some reason or another, he was on radio at the time, and I met him for lunch.
And he had one of these?
He had one of these things, and I thought,
Ugly
my
duckling.
God, that thing is so ugly. And he looked at me and he says, you think?
Well, the other thing you got to remember, and this is the genius of General Motors, and I won't go down that rabbit trail, the original name of this car was the Impact.
Oh, great.
What a great name for a car. Well, GM had so much confidence in it that they only made it available through a lease program with an MSRP of $33,995.
Wow, that's a lot.
After the lease had concluded, GM collected as many of them as they could and scrapped them and stacked them up as scrap heap.
Cordwood.
They crushed them and scrapped all of them, except a few that were in museums. I think Jay Leno has one in his garage still. So, but generally they were all destroyed. And then in 1998, Larry Shinoda passed away.
Oh, yeah, Larry Shinoda.
Now,
yeah.
Larry Shinoda,
Corvette.
very famous designer, was integral in the design of the 63 Corvette.
Yep.
The new, and he was a fan of the split window, though there was reasons for the split window because they couldn't lay the glass correctly in
That's correct.
63.
And most people don't know that. But the split window, they had to make it
Right.
because the original design was 64 and beyond with one solid piece of
Right.
glass, but they couldn't do it.
And a number of people, once the rear glass was released for the 64, went in and cut the split out of it and put the 64 rear glass
Yep.
in it. Really destroyed the value of them. But, if you think of Larry Shinoda, he was not only a great car designer, he was involved, in my opinion, some of the most iconic cars ever produced. The 63 Corvette along, he and Bill Mitchell, but also with the 69, 70, 71, 72 Mustang. He was a designer of that. And then finally, the Grand Cherokee, he was the designer of the Grand Cherokee. And then there's one more. And and you think that was the start of the small SUV world, was the Grand Cherokee. So, Larry Shinoda, very, very famous designer, but his passing was a loss to the auto industry. That was this week in automotive
That's
history.
good. That's good. I like Larry Shinoda. Yeah, I remember him very well. Back in the day, he was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Time now for some of the stories making headlines this week. Well, the GM deal was saved by the company's component plants, parts depots, and battery plants, where workers who stand to get the largest raises canceled out opposition from assembly plant employees already getting top wages. The headline, 3 UAW deals ratified, but GM, it's a tight vote. The Detroit Three say their newly ratified contracts with the UAW make working in the factories pay better than 70% of other U.S. jobs. In all fields, not just manufacturing, the deals give immediate $5,000 bonuses and push top wages above $40 an hour in 2028. More than 35,000 of the automaker's hourly workers still voted no. While the contracts passed by wide margins at Ford and Stellantis, there was widespread opposition at GM. GM's contract passed by fewer than 3,300 votes, less than half the margin for a far less lucrative deal in 2019. In a move to take online vehicle shopping to a new level, this is earth-shattering here. Hyundai and Amazon will partner on a digital storefront to sell the South Korean automaker's vehicles to consumers. Hyundai will be the first auto manufacturer to use Amazon's digital retailing tool to conduct a full end-to-end transaction. Buyers will be able to tap Amazon's digital shopping platform to select and finance a vehicle. The sales will be channeled through local dealerships. What do you think that the other dealerships are going to say about that? The announcement immediately raised questions among some retailers and industry investors. Lithia, the nation's largest auto retail dealership group, saw its stock fall 5.1% in response this week. The stock price for number 2 auto group AutoNation slid 6%. Online auto sales referral service TrueCar stock dropped 7%. The digital retail giant is starting with the Hyundai brand. Amazon executives told Automotive News, but they expect to partner with other automakers.
So Amazon's going to show up and fix your recalls because Hyundai is notorious.
goes to the dealer.
No. That's just the avenue to get it.
No, and you have to go to the dealership
to get your vehicle. You still got to do all the paperwork at the dealer and all that.
So it's basically a third-party retailer.
They did not say how much Amazon stock went up if all the others are going down.
Oh, they probably did. I just didn't read it.
That's all right.
We can't read the whole story. It's boring to death. Got some recalls to tell you about. A bunch of Mercedes-Benz A220, AMG A35, AMG CLA 35, CLA 45, CLA 250, GLA 250, GLB 250, and that's for missing brake inspection gauge. Sunroof may close unexpectedly in the Mercedes-Benz GLS 580. So you've got your girlfriend going down the street, hanging out at the top of the car, and all of a sudden, oh, the kid's closing. Loss of steering control on the Honda Pilot for 23 and 24. That's not
scary.
a good
That's
thing.
scary.
Improperly secured windows may detach on the Mercedes-Benz GLC 300. You see a pattern here with the Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah.
Doesn't your wife have a Mercedes-Benz?
Yes, she does. I check it for recalls every month.
You should check it
every
day.
week, yeah.
Incorrect front driver airbag in the Tesla Model S and Model X for 21 through 23. An American Honda is recalling nearly 249,000 vehicles in the U.S. for a manufacturing error that could cause engine damage. Listen to this. Recall covers certain 2016 and 2018 to 19 Honda Pilot, 2017 and 2019 Ridgeline, and 2018 to 19 Audacy vehicles. It also covers 2 models from Acura. The connecting rod bearing in the engine of those vehicles could wear and seize because of improper equipment settings used during production of the crankshaft.
But it only happens once.
So far this year, Honda has issued 16 recalls affecting nearly 3.3 million vehicles in the U.S., according to NHTSA data.
Wow.
What you got
That's
going on
that's
down
a
there,
lot.
Mars, with all the headset messing with?
I'm trying to get Steve Green to talk to me, but he don't want to talk to me.
Hell, nobody wants to talk to you. Are you
That's
kidding?
the problem.
All right, well,
Talk to him,
He's
Steve.
laughing at you.
I know.
so apparently he can hear you.
Well,
So,
he's out.
Yeah.
If you can hear us, give us a thumbs up.
Oh, for
Well, he
God's
can
sakes,
hear
we
us,
don't
but
need
I
to
just
do all
I was
of
trying
that.
to hear him.
All right. Golly, all of
We're,
this-
we're going to hear him in about
Here.
2 minutes, two and a half
Here,
minutes.
let me go ahead and take care of all the headset rumbling around in here.
Everybody was recalled.
Yeah, and also let me just say this, that David Ainsley has said we need to get rid of these headsets. I said
agree.
that is not going to happen because none of the people that I work with have ever been in radio, and they don't know how to work a microphone. And clearly they still don't know how to work a microphone, but at least it's kind of in front of their mouth. Thank you. I'm feeling much better now.
Tell us how you really feel.
Time for a quick break. We'll be right back. You're on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
Houston's finest cars are invited to another Gulf Coast Auto Shield Car Social, Saturday, December 2nd, and you're invited too. Show off your personal pride and joy, or just stop in to see the likes of Lucid, Lamborghini, Porsche, Ferrari, and more. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your one-stop shop for paint detailing, coatings, window tint, clear bras, and wheel repair. The Car Social is your opportunity to get a tour of this state-of-the-art facility located at 11275 South Sam Houston Parkway, just south of the Southwest Freeway. It all takes place Saturday, December 2nd, 9 to noon. This is the perfect opportunity to connect with other car enthusiasts. From BMWs to Bentleys, Corvettes to McLarens, the Car Social is a different kind of show. Talk to the owners. See Gulf Coast Auto Shield's facility. You'll be amazed. Put it on your calendar now. The Gulf Coast Auto Shield Car Social, Saturday, December 2nd, 9 to noon at 11275 South Sam Houston Parkway, just south of the Southwest Freeway. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there too. We'll see you then. That's it for this podcast episode of the In-Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts.